Welcome to Followed by Mercy. And I am joined again, like yesterday, by my dear little daughter, Katie, married to our son, David. And we're having a good talk about the carnivore diet. I think sometimes she thinks I'm crazy, asking her so many questions, but it's helped me. I think it'll help you. And so, Katie, yesterday we were talking about a lot of it. I will start up with my first question for you is what did it do to your emotions and what have you seen it do to people's emotions? Going on the carnivore diet.
Well, I definitely think for me personally, it's done a lot as far as my emotions go. And I think it's so interesting how so often, I think especially as women, we have the bad rap of being like really emotional sometimes or having way out of control emotional reactions and all these things. And I think a lot of the problem is just a lot of it has to do with what we're eating and putting in our bodies and not putting in our bodies. And though I believe firmly that we are responsible for the way we behave and act, we're supposed to have self-control. A lot of times it just really stinks to feel really bad. Knowing you have to control yourself, respond the right way, do what's right, but still feeling like really bad emotionally or physically.
Sugar drives you up.
Yep.
Crashes you.
And then it crashes you. And sugar also, high sugar, high carbohydrates, sorry, I can't speak, diets are associated with other problems in women like PCOS that causes, weird hormonal issues also. And I don't know, just infertility issues,
doctors
don't
tell us this.
Yes. Yeah. This is like a proven thing. Not everybody talks about it or agrees about how that should be treated. But yeah, it's a thing. And so I think for me, when I started, after I got through my initial first month of just feeling really bad, I started to notice that my mood was a lot more stable. I felt way less irritable.
Oh, well, your husband attributes, he told me, he said, I don't care what it costs.
Yeah,
I got my wife back. I got my young wife back and I got my new wife. And y'all been married 20 years. That's what he said.
Yeah. But it's funny because it for me, yeah, definitely like mood stabilizing. And, I'm not a doctor and there are medical reasons for why this happens and how animal protein and animal fat is so beneficial for your health, your hormones,
I thought it would kill you.
in your body. No.
Fat kills you.
No, it's so good for you. And if you go on and listen to some of the people we mentioned yesterday, along with other people, that you'll find in that community, there's one doctor, Dr. Robert Kiltz, who's a fertility specialist, and he's really big in America. I think he lives in New York, works in New York, but he's really big. If any of his clients will go for this, instead of in vitro,
spell his name so they'll get it.
Kiltz, Kiltz, I think so, Robert Kiltz. And, he's not a Christian or anything like that. He's kind of a funny guy. But if his patients are willing, he gets them on this diet for fertility reasons and to be able to lose weight and conceive and all this stuff. So he's a really big proponent of this diet and believes in it heavily. But he'll work with patients up to whatever they're willing to do. But this is his favorite way to help his patients. But yeah, all this stuff affects our body, the high sugar, the high amount of carbs, the low nutritional density of what we eat. And for me, it was massive to see and feel like I was no longer kind of getting these depressive lows. I had a very stable mood. Not only was it stable, I felt happier. And that sounds really funny because feelings aren't always, the end all to everything we do and what we decide to do or not to do. But it was really wonderful to me just to be able to feel like a more uplifted mood and a more stable mood. And I was just happier and less things were bothering me. Little things weren't annoying me as much. And I thought that was just unbelievable and would be totally a myth because people would say that, you get into these carnivore doctors and carnivore influencers and they're all like, oh, it's magic. And they're all really upbeat people. And you're like, this has got to be fake, right? This can't be real. But me personally, I've experienced the benefits in my moods and hormones, I believe, definitely, and really enjoy feeling good.
You also have mentioned to me in our conversations, like you had a list of 30 things?
Oh, yeah. Probably around 30 things-ish, right around there. that have improved in my health. Like I said, I initially started it because, I felt bad I wasn't getting help from doctors. But then as time went on, things began to improve and change that I didn't even know were an issue, I guess, because I just lived with them for so long. Like even my mood, like just feeling like really moody for no apparent reason sometimes, which I think a lot of people would say they feel moody for no apparent reason a lot of times. But as far as my mood,
By the way, doesn't Jordan Peterson's daughter said the same thing? Or Jordan Peterson, he makes the comment, I was in a depressed state.
yeah,
Could you just tell me a little bit about that?
I don't remember exactly what he said, but I know he dealt with depression. I've dealt with depression in my past.
But he got over it by the
Yeah.
carnivore diet.
Yeah.
I think he was depressed. I think
Pretty regularly, it seemed like, from what
If
he
I recall.
talks about. Yeah.
you could.
was
That's
like a
on. That's
pretty
on the
regular
carnivore video.
Yeah. He talks about it pretty openly from what I understand. But yeah, I can relate to that because even though I didn't go around acting depressed, I could, you can still feel like really low or irritable or moody or I really don't want to be here right now and all that stuff. But yeah, in all, I've had around 30 things improve in my health as far as hormones, skin, moods, mental clarity, sleep. Like there's just so many things that I felt like each month was like, there was just like a new surprise, like what's going to get better this month. Now 2 years in, I'm pretty stable. Not a whole lot changes, but I feel really good. And I've been able to maintain for the first time in a really long time, a really good physical, just my physical body. I've maintained weight. That's another interesting thing. Sometimes I eat a whole lot on this diet, just depending on how much I'm working out or not working out or what I feel like I want to eat. Sometimes I don't eat as much, but I eat more calories than I ever have. And I maintain a steady weight with I've never had to track or count anything. It's just so simple. You just eat, you just feed yourself. And it's interesting how your body just heals and takes care of the rest.
So it causes kidney stones, doesn't it?
No, I haven't had one.
Well, you know
kidney
that.
stone.
A good friend of mine, when he heard it, he said, don't do it long. He said, you get kidney stones.
Yes, everyone's worried about the kidneys and the uric acid and all this stuff. But
we're not doctors, but
we're not. And you can actually find a lot of information. I think Ken Berry specifically talks about this fear of uric acid, gout, kidneys, all this stuff on one of his podcasts. You can do a search and find out. But he addresses these things that people are really concerned about. But no, actually, it does not cause kidney stones. And overall, it's good for kidney health.
Well, I got gout on this diet.
Yes.
I contacted Ken Berry.
I remember.
And I said to him, I'm on the carnivore diet. And he said, well, what else are you doing? And I said, I was drinking this diet tea. And he said, well, stop it.
Stop. And what happened?
And my gout went away.
Your gout went away.
Which was,
how about that?
What the diet tea had some kind of fake sugar.
Yeah.
That actually caused me to have the gout. It went away. And I've not had it. But I think people I don't think people understand that or believe that.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. I think a big thing is everything in moderation. But I don't believe in that statement. I'm not a moderator. I think David is more able to moderate. Once I get into a bag of chips, though, I'm not stopping until it's gone. I don't moderate well. So for me, it was black and white. Like we're either all in or all out. Like I'm not dabbling. I can't dabble. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize what happens when you're just consistently consuming. And even things like that, like some people with their keto flu or whatever will have these horrible symptoms and flare-ups and different things that go on as their body begins to detoxify just from the years and years of, what they've put in. But if you can hang in there, you get to the other side and you begin to heal and feel better and see all the positive benefits.
I want to drill in on this. I'm thinking about somebody that I talked to. And they are always dealing with depression. Mm-hmm. They're always dealing with, and I've been helping them with their thinking. Mm-hmm. And I've asked them to listen to Psalm 23 on the podcast here. And I'm trying to help them with that. I haven't mentioned the diet to them because I was afraid they couldn't handle it. But if they listen, maybe they'll hear it and they'll think about it. Because what is that sugar doing? And talk to them about depression and anxiety and all of that, and what part the leaders and teachers about carnivore would say.
Well, again, they would have a better, more scientific information on all of that. But basically, sugar, processed food, all the things we eat typically are so horrible for our mental health and our brains. Our brains require fat in order to function properly, like literally require it. And they have actually found, I'm not going to go too deep into this because I don't want to be all against vegans or whatever, but vegans' brains can actually shrink for the lack of healthy saturated fat.
Oh boy, you just made somebody mad with
I know,
that.
I might have made some, but it's a thing. People are doing these studies. They're finding out saturated fat is really good for your brain health, protection against Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things. And now they're finding there are doctors that are using high fat carnivore diets to treat depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. Oh goodness, what's the name of the doctor? There was a doctor, whose book I read recently. I think his name is Chris Palmer. And he talks about this, how he is kind of going into the field of looking at treating these mental disorders that a lot of even psychologists and psychiatrists are having difficulty treating. You know, it's kind of a toss-up. Are the medications going to work or not? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And he's finding some really positive outcomes for things like schizophrenia, even personality disorders, depression, anxiety, with a high-fat carnivore diet. And it has to do with the chemicals in the brain and how starved they are for this saturated fat and the nutrition they need in order to function well. And when you're able to get people on all this fat and this, what they would consider, more appropriate human
Plus,
diet.
you've pulled them off of the poison.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
That Snickers bar that I like so much,
it's bad stuff.
it's like poison.
It's bad for the brain. And so, yeah, a lot of times people's moods do change and elevate, and they notice differences. And people that struggle with depression, anxiety notice a really big difference in that. And they have, this is proven stuff that these doctors have looked at. They have actual patients and case studies. They're developing, treatments and different things now. But again, in a very early stages. But it's interesting how this diet seems to have such positive effects, even on people who seem untreatable in the psychiatric realm.
So don't forget to check out Dr. Ken Berry. That's how you say it, right?
Ken Berry, yeah. Chris Palmer and Georgia Eade are two doctors that are psychiatrists. So they study this diet in reference to mental disorders and all that. They have some very interesting stuff to say. I'm not all about psychiatry and psychologists and all that. That is not really my favorite field of medicine. I believe strongly in, this diet. And I believe, like you said, the word of God heals us and helps us and changes us. But I'm not 100% against these people, but in reference to this diet, they do have some really interesting scientific findings, very educated people from Harvard that are experimenting with this.
Well, what about, have you, just because I know you read so much, what about if a person has dealt with drugs?
Oh, they've also found that
I'm talking about people that have been alcoholics,
yeah,
drug addicts, and they love God, but sin caught them, sin messed them up, and they're trying to get their life straight. But the addictions, go ahead.
They have seen that with people with addictions and even eating disorders. A lot of times when you begin giving the body and the brain what it needs to heal and function correctly, that it can even help with withdrawal symptoms and then cravings later on. And this isn't a 100% across the board. This definitely always works. But just from what I've listened to on podcasts with these doctors, their research, and some of the things I've read, it is really interesting how something as basic as nutrition, proper nutrition, can affect all these different areas of your life and body, and not just like, can I gain some weight or can I lose some weight? But it's all so intricate and intertwined. I feel like the human body, the way God made it, is so incredibly intertwined and complicated, to just take one aspect out and try to treat it. But when you feed the whole body the correct way, it begins to work in harmony again.
It's amazing. Americans like to divide us up into three blobs.
Yeah.
We're body, spirit, and soul, but we're not. We're all one.
Yeah. and it all works together. So
I'd like to real quickly add a warning to everyone listening. Of course, you can check out all these doctors. That's where the information we would have comes from. But did you tell them what happens when they buy or when they go to the restaurant and they get corn?
no,
They're eating corn, or they're eating green beans, and they're eating vegetables.
Vegetables.
So that's healthy. Tell them about that.
So not everybody has a problem with vegetables. I think that there are certain vegetables that are better to eat than others, but corn is like straight up sugar. Okay. It's a very starchy.
That's not the only thing I want them to notice. You showed this to me.
What's
You
that?
can't use a salt packet when you go to the fast food restaurant because the second ingredient is sugar.
Oh, right. Sugar's in everything. And when
like when you buy whole kernel of corn, and you're eating it, unless you fix it from the raw.
Yeah, from the cob. No, it is amazing. I don't think a lot of people read labels. They just look, and whatever the can or the jar or the package says, they take it for face value. But so many times when you look at packaged food, anything, even things like vegetables that you think are supposed to be healthy, it's amazing the things you find in there. And it's incredible to me the things that sugar is in that sugar should not be in. And then not to mention all the things.
Americans don't want it natural.
No,
they want it with
it's
sugar.
Easy.
Because we've been trained to eat sugar.
We love sugar. Sugar's delicious. You're lying if you say sugar's not delicious. It's delicious. I love sugar. Loved sugar. I probably still love sugar, if we're honest.
If I had a chance to eat it again, I'd love it.
Yeah. If I knew it wouldn't hurt me, I'd eat it. Absolutely. But now I'm kind of afraid of it. But it's in everything. If you ever curious, like, what am I actually eating? We're so consumed with calories. I don't even think calories are that big of a deal. Calories are like a weird way to measure what we're consuming and if it's adequate or not, because we're not a closed system. There's a lot that happens when we consume food, with the neurons and cells and everything going on in our body. And so more important than calories are what are you actually putting in there? I always, try to track calories, keep track of my calories to no avail. Never had much success with that. I could go really low calorie and maybe lose a little weight if I wanted to lose some weight, but never had much success. But it's interesting when you realize it's not so much about the calories, it's what's in the content. What are you putting in there? And if you go to the store sometime and want to be surprised, pick up a can or a jar of something you think is supposed to be fairly healthy, or a package, and read what's in there. And it might surprise you, like the amount of things you can't even understand, like, what is this? And then good old sugar.
You can't pronounce.
Good old sugar is always in there. So it's wild. It's unbelievable. And so,
by the way, there's a lot of words that are used for sugar.
Oh yeah.
Like dextrose is in the salt.
Yeah.
If you go to the restaurant, salt has dextrose.
Mm-hmm. It's tasty.
And so you're the one taught me almost everything I know.
Oh yeah. If you read labels, it's scary. I don't even know what's going on out there. It's like the Wild West in the labeling department.
So you've seen it with emotion. You've seen it with drugs and alcohol, and what we've read about. We've not personally experienced any of that.
Right.
So how does all that affect your spiritual life?
I think even so certain principles remain, right? We're supposed to grow in our relationship with God, know God, be consistent in our Bible reading and all these things. But I will say, I feel like a more joyful person, and my God isn't food or a diet. That's not what defines me. But I do think, I am very thankful to God that for whatever reason, he let me stumble across this. Personally, I feel like it's been a huge blessing from him in my life. I believe it works, and I believe it's a wonderful thing. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it's freed me to enjoy a lot more things in my life and not see certain things as just a duty, but it's a joy to be able to live, to be able to know God. And
well, the thing is, when you physically feel horrible,
yeah,
when your emotions are a wreck,
yeah.
I deal with quite a bit of that because I don't have adrenal glands and all the other junk that's happened to me. But all of that affects your spiritual life. Because if you're feeling pretty bad,
It's a battle.
but
It's a constant battle.
it's
you're
not
fighting.
near the battle when your body's doing
Yeah.
decent.
You're doing war against your thoughts, against what you're feeling. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I'm definitely lighter. Not to say I don't ever struggle with my thought life or problems or personal things, but I feel more capable of handling it for sure.
How long do you sleep at night?
It depends. I like me a good 8 hours of sleep, but even if I don't like,
Did you now? I know you had some sleep disorders.
oh yeah, I've had sleep disorders.
Well, let's tell them about that just a little bit.
So
I'm not asking for details.
Like aside from the sleep disorders, the insomnia is what it was, to be specific. I'll talk about in a second, but just on a regular day, I could sleep 8 or 9 hours, wake up and still be like, have the groggy, tired, draggy, like, why am I tired? I just slept 9 hours. What's wrong with me? I think I want to go back to bed. Like that was very common for me. And yes, in the past, I have dealt with insomnia, racing thoughts. During that time, I had some panic attacks, obviously anxiety, all that type of stuff. And so, since the 2 years that I have been eating this way, I have, not struggled near with the anxiety. I feel like I'm kind of prone to anxiety, depression type of stuff. I have it in my family as well. And I feel like I tend toward that, which isn't a good thing. But I feel like it's been relieved and alleviated so much since changing my diet 2 years ago. I haven't had near the issues that I used to have and the battles that I used to have on a regular basis, I feel like, personally. So it's been a huge blessing.
I will talk more about that on our next podcast. And so I hope you'll come and join us tomorrow. And we'll finish up our whole series here on the carnivore diet. I want you to know it's made a tremendous difference in my life. I think the carnivore diet plus Psalm 23 probably have done more for me than anything. And so I want to talk about how difficult it is to do this, how to make the change and all that. We'll talk about it next time. So you join us as we get together the next time here on Followed by Mercy.